Alright, boys and ghouls, we're in Suspiria mode again, but this is just a fun little experiment, I guess. Let's see if some of you can guess most of these movies that I took old reviews from the last almost 3 years. We're going on, June will be 3 years, which is crazy. And it's kind of cool because it shows, I guess, the evolution of the channel from how it used to be very early on and how my personality kind of came out more and I got more comfortable as time went on. So it's a fun little experiment. But I purposely edited these in a very vague way that are just weird, fun observations and my random tangents and little bits of information. And that's it. So there's a handful, like 5 or 6, something like that. And leave in the comments number 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. and what movie you think it is. Let's see how good you guys are. Just to show them stalking and presumably killing these old people. But then we're introduced to the family. So they're sending her away to boarding school. They don't really say what she's been doing. I think they say at one point to mom when she's having a little conversation saying that, oh, you shouldn't be smoking pot or something like that, something stupid. And that was her first time killing, or at least killing with these other two. I mean, who knows what she did beforehand. That's how they started off. They think it's a creepy line. But for viewers like us, at least for me, even the second time hearing that same line, it just feels lazy. But how do I know if someone doesn't answer? They have a flashlight on, or they shine a light in the person's face because they think it's weird that their light isn't working. Their whole plan could be foiled very easily. I really believe that they're brother and sister in this. Like, they did a very good job. But one thing, I don't care if it's a family member, anybody. One thing you never do. You don't take someone's cigarette out their mouth and throw it on the ground. Are you kidding me? That's the way you get killed. Don't ever do some shit like that. And so far, the only evidence to how bad of a girl this is, I think she's like 15, 16, is she's smoking cigarettes and pot now and then. Is that all she's doing, that they're sending her to boarding school? Is there even a boarding school anymore nowadays? I've never met somebody sent to boarding school. Does that still happen? Somebody let me know if they know the answer to this random question that has nothing to do. And he says, put the knife down. And then she drops the knife. Are you serious? Just shoot this bitch in the face. She already killed your mom at that point. That's an end game for me. That's a deal breaker. You're getting shot in the face immediately. There's no drop the knife. There's no turn around slowly or anything like that. It's creepy, sure. But just the mental image it gives me of one of them running into that room real quick and writing hello like 100 times on a window and then just sneaking away. The way that they have the sound drop out, I love that. Like, anytime in a movie, like I said, if it works, which it most of the time does, that a character sees something super traumatic in front of them and they utilize sound dropping out to show how traumatic it is and that they're not even really there, they're in shock. I love that effect. I love that directors utilize that to show what they're thinking and observing at that exact moment. For people that are trying to not get caught and are trying to murder people, these people make a lot of goddamn noise and they draw big attention to them. They're lighting fires. They're crashing cars into other cars. That's how you gotta be. You don't need to go to boarding school. She needs to stay at home and protect this goddamn family. There's not a lot of good stuff in this movie. Like, hardly at all. I like the whole backstory that she was a victim of a school shooting, then she had to face those fears later on in the movie when she picks up a gun and everything. All of that is probably the best stuff in the movie. This whole town, it looks like the back lot at Universal Studios, like a soundstage. And then the whole conversation with the old woman, and has to bring up the Confederate flag and stuff. Like, this is just lazy writing. Anytime that there's a black character in a movie and stuff, it's such an easy way out, or an easy thing to throw in any type of racial tension. It doesn't have to be here. Like, it's just taking up space. All of this dialogue, everything to do with the Confederate flag. The sheriffs come, and they end up taking her out. And she has like a heart attack or something, lack of oxygen, hits the ground, and they have to take her away. Fuck her. Like, seriously. They spend so much time with especially so annoying with the, oh my god, we killed her and stuff. No, you didn't. Maybe it sounds cold. I wouldn't have a shred of a guilty conscience. You go in there, it's your job to check this place out. You're about to auction off all these houses. There's someone in there who's not supposed to be there. And then they try, like, weaseling their way out of it. It's like, no, call the sheriff. They came. You did everything you're supposed to do. It's not my fault she's old and she can drop dead like a sack of bricks at any fucking point. It has nothing to do with me. I would walk away from that without a shred of guilt. But there is another positive. It's the shot when you see him for the first time standing at the top of the stairs, and there's that stained glass window with the light shining through the ambulance. Which is just two sheriffs. Now, I've seen enough movies to know that if I was being stalked and trying to be killed by some type of crazed killer, and I was fortunate enough to trick him or her by hiding under a bed, and they leave, never get out from under that bed. Like, at least for an hour or two. Because you know, and it doesn't happen here, but it does in so many movies. They think they're fine, and then they come out, and he's standing on a chair, or he's standing on top of the bed, something like this. I would just take a nap for 2 hours. He did find me, hopefully went downstairs. If I come out now, he's probably going to be hiding somewhere. So if I just stay and take a nap here, then maybe we'll be like, oh, maybe he's not under that bed. And for some reason, they won't check with their eyes. Some of the CGI is a little whatever, but it's the best scene in the movie, and that's saying a lot. Again, like, this is the best part of the movie for me, is character and her backstory with the school shooting. The scene that she has with, not Dwight, and she's seeing all this carnage and stuff. She gets flashbacks to the school shooting. Like, all of that is interesting and should have been explored much more in this movie. So it's a shame. And then again, how wasted this is. And her grand plan is get in the back of the cop car so they can't get out and defend themselves, while she goes to proceed to fight and then get almost instantly stabbed, carried up into the air, and flung into a pile of garbage. That's literally what happens. So it's Saturday morning right now at like a little after 10 a.m. And I mean, I'm still recovering from last night, but I went to throw something on and I said, that's what I want to watch right now. And it's a movie I've always wanted to talk about. There is some weird shit in this movie. Nothing that happened to this movie was happening to this guy. Now, like I said, even though this is heavily inspired by the murders that actually happened, they changed everything. He is one of the most scumbag fathers ever put to film. So they move into this house and they're happier than pigs and shit. Also, where did that phrase originate from? Any pig experts out there? Are pigs happy rolling around in shit? I never understood any of that, and this is so random, but I had to ask. And I like how things immediately start happening in this film compared to the first one. But as soon as they move into this house, within the first 10 minutes or less, like, they're instantly seeing things and are being affected by the evil force. Alright, so let's talk about incest. That's probably not the best way to start it off, but there is the relationship that is very strange and weird and very evil. I don't know why it was put into this movie. Demon force come for me downstairs. Demonic infestation me. But it's not like a big knock on this movie. The feel to this movie is so out there that for me it makes it feel more demonic. What's happening to this family? Loud knocks at the door late at night, and he opens the door and there's nobody there. Which, the last knock is a split second before this guy opens the door. How is there any explanation for that? Where did that person go if it was a person? Which, of course, it's not. But whatever. Then chaos breaks out up in the kids' room. And it looks really good with the paintbrushes coming out of the paint cans, and they start moving and start painting on the wall. The windows are going up and down. I say this with every movie that's demonic possession or demon infestation or ghost movies. Why do they have to do this? Why do they have to always do such small acts of bullshit initially in the haunting or possession before they can finally take this person? Can't they just possess like right off the bat? Why are they painting shit on the wall and moving like chairs around in other movies, plates and stuff like that? Like, is there a reason? Do they have to do like a certain amount and hit a quota of like funny pranks and scary pranks to play on human beings before they can infest someone? I'm not a demonologist. If you need one, call Ed Warren. But wait, you can't because he's dead. But if you believe in demons, maybe you had personal experience, maybe you're a psychic, you can talk to the dead. Hit up Ed Warren and find out the information. But then the parents get up to the kids' room and they see the full painting on the wall, which is creepy, but that's supposed to be a pig? Because it says, dishonor thy father, pigs. But that's supposed to be a pig, right? Because it looks nothing like a pig. It looks like more like a alligator, like mixed with a dragon. I could see some aspects of a pig there, but that's not a fucking pig, man. Now, I get it. The forces in the house are obviously affecting all of them in some way or another. But I can always guarantee you the father was an absolute abusive douchebag before he moved into this house. And matter of fact, I'll throw in, I'm sure probably banged before they moved into this house too. So after that fantastic night,
bulletproof fucking ricochet tires? Are you fucking serious? Like, was this a joke movie? Was this like a spoof film of the other two? This movie feels like a fucking joke. Like a bad joke that... So again, like 14, 15 years he's been writing this script and working on this. And this is what he wrote? This is the ideas he came up with? And now he's got a deflective metal axe? Come on, man. Like, really? Who wrote this? Who helped him write this? Who pitched these ideas? Because they should be fired immediately from film. Just film in general. Just you're fired from film. None of this is good in any way. It is just not good. It's just really not. I was suffering getting through this one. This movie has a lot of slow motion. Like, completely unnecessary slow motion. It was daylight out. The sun was still up. And then when he gets back to the truck, it's fucking nighttime. And she's still in that truck. She didn't try to run away in all that time. But then like 10 minutes later, she just jumps out the back and the spikes come down, but she clears it and she's fine. We know what you are. All right. But I don't. None of us do. And they said all this would be explained. None of it's explained. And then they fucking rub it in our face by having him read a sign and saying, we know what you are. And then not saying a fucking word about it afterwards. Screaming the crows out of the trees after his hand like crumbles up, his old hand and stuff. Which, what the fuck does he care about his old hand? He replaces body parts all the time. So what does it even matter to him? What does the whole hand thing have to do with anything in this movie? Nothing. That's what. It's just to add an extra 20 minutes to the movie. I'm really convinced this was like a half-hour script. Like, if you're going to make a movie set between two movies and then you're going to have the ending of that movie with some new character involved in anything that ties into the movie after that, chronologically, make it make sense. Somehow. Like, do something.
Then people just forgot about it. This is directorial debut. I feel like he should have done more after how good this movie was. And we get all this story of how that all evolves when they were kids, told through flashbacks. Like, what do you do if it's just you and your little brother and your father seems to have gone mad? In the universe in this movie, it turned out being real. And now you have to start killing people, but it's not murder because they're not people. I love every character, all three of them in the family. That's pretty much who you spend the whole time with. But they did such a good job writing these characters, like in the flashback. So this is just to trick the audience. But you can look at it as it's being an unreliable narrator. He's purposely, lying to this guy about his identity. Does he have a name in this? I don't know if he has a name, because they just call him Dad the whole time. So I'll be looking out for that. Ends up getting a visit from this angel. You don't see it, you just get this little reflection of the light that he sees, which is good. I'm glad they didn't put some CGI angel or some shit. So much better the way that they handled it here. His performance already, just in this whole scene, is absolutely phenomenal. The way he sells this story and the way that he really believes it. And no, I experienced it. This is our God-given duty. All of his speech is fantastic here. But then you got to really just think logically and say, this doesn't make any sense at all. Man, what this kid goes through and the way that they capture that. I love how much wants to fit in and get his dad's approval here, that he comes in with his own list. And the first one is some kid who stole his bike or did something minuscule to him. Duct taped around the mouth, her mascara's running, she's crying, she's freaking out. He even goes to the police. This kid is commendable. This kid has a very strong moral compass, and I love that. Look what you made me do. You made me murder somebody. He says you kill people all the time. And he gets a cup of water a day. He lost track of time down there, which who can blame him? It's just him in the darkness. Man, this kid went through some shit. No wonder why he turned out being a serial killer. And he's not the one who believed any of this. And he still turned out being fucked up and being a serial killer.
Well, did you take it? And he's just I loathe the Zuni aesthetics. That's such a great line, man. He grabs a tennis racket. You can barely kill a fly with a tennis racket, let alone a fucking ancient mummy who's come back to life. He couldn't grab a knife from the kitchen, at least, or anything, anything other than a tennis racket, basically, is what I'm trying to say. The gore in this movie and the effects are very, very good. I'm pretty sure I heard that when he was saying it, and I wrote it down, but now I'm thinking about it, her name might not be Caroline at all, so whatever her name is. And he's a struggling artist, and he gets dropped by his agent because his work, it just isn't selling, it's not making money, and he doesn't know what the hell to do, so he's pissed drunk. Awesome gore in this too. You're gonna say, yeah, well, how did you and Daddy meet? Well, I was walking down the street and I was gonna go meet my friends, but I was lost. And then Daddy just brought me into an alleyway and I thought he was gonna throw me up against a wall and rape me, child. But that's not what happened. He turned out being a great guy, and that's how you two were born. Who says that to a kid? Anyone in that situation has gotta be thinking that, moments before they die. Holy shit, I've just spent 10 years of marital bliss fucking a that's gotta be at the top of the thought list running through your mind. That's if you were leaving a bar and you went down an alley with a friend and a fucking cow came out, and just a mutated evil cow. You end up telling her, and then she turns into that cow. The first thought you gotta have, man, is I've been fucking a cow for the last decade. Seriously? Come on. That has to be the thought going through his head. That's it. We can't assume what happens after that. Does she ever come back down and repeat the whole process? Why did she do it in the first place? Because you don't really want the answers.
1 year after the original, just shows how much thought went into this script. So I hate the look of the killer. This movie and the next one, I haven't seen these movies in 10 years maybe, so I don't even remember a lot, but the writing's terrible. And it's and no, they don't start clapping. That made me laugh a lot when that just happened, and it was very serious. That's what I mean. There is no way that this woman killed anybody. I just don't believe it. He's wrong. So, what is with his whole character? His whole character in the first movie is he's this huge film buff and everything. And he's just wrong in everything he says in this scene. I do not like her, and I think she's a complete bitch in this movie. It's obvious from as soon as they introduce the character. And it just takes away any type of mystery. It just always feels like a cash grab. Every sequel in this franchise, it's exhausting. Like, it really is. And it just keeps getting more exhausting with every installment in the book she wrote, and just, you could skip all of this, and it wouldn't bother me in the slightest. Everybody knows the voice. How do you not know the voice? Let that shit ring. Let it go to voicemail. So there's a little bit of suspense in the scene with It's been a while, right, since we had house phones that if you step outside the house, then the service starts cutting out and she has to go back inside. But then she gets stabbed and thrown off the roof. It's alright. Not to mention the fact that wasn't placed in a real secure safe house from the second news got out. All of that's unbelievable too. The police and everything in this series, oh, they are the most incompetent police. The play scene, why would ever do a play like this? Wouldn't that bring up like all the past trauma from the first incident, like that she went through? Like, who's gonna let her do this? And the fact again that she's not in the safe house by this point is insane. Are you kidding me? It is so unbelievable. But who's letting her go up there, especially when there's a bunch of masked people up there, and the killer could be up there. The writing is so, I don't even know the word for it.